The COVIDsafe app could be an absolute lifesaver, literally. But due to the low take-up rate and some tech challenges, many are deeming it an expensive dud, including Bill Shorten. The PM is adamant the tracing app is working as designed. So which is it? Futurist Gihan Perera joins me now to discuss. Welcome, Gihan.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Jennie. How are you going?
Yeah, really well, thank you. And, with the technology we have these days, we should expect a tracing app to do a brilliant job. Is it true the app hasn't actually identified any contacts that human tracers haven't already found?
Oh, yeah, that seems to be the news. That seems to be what we're hearing. And, if that's the case, that's not surprising right now because of the way the technology works. And I heard you talk about Bill Shorten saying it's a dud and the Prime Minister saying it's essential. It's kind of halfway between that.
Oh, right.
Because the way the app works, the way it's designed to work, is that it records the contact details of people who've got the app when you're close to them for more than 5 minutes. You've got to be closer than 1.5 meters to them and for 15 minutes, not 5 minutes. So 15 minutes for the past few months, that's not many people. So if you walk past somebody when you're shopping at Woolies or Bunnings, that doesn't get recorded. If you order a takeaway coffee, if you're on a short trip, even on a crowded bus, you're not there next to someone for 15 minutes. If you're in a long trip on a bus that hasn't got many people on it and you're further away than 1.5 meters, then the app's not going to record that. So it only records people that you're close to for 15 minutes. Of course, people in your household, if you go out to dinner with friends, if you go to the footy. So in those cases, it records them. But in those cases, then human contact tracers can contact them as well because they'll ask you who's in your household, who have you been out with recently. They can contact the footy stadium and say who were in these rows. So for that scenario and for those scenarios, the app actually doesn't catch anybody that human contact tracers already are catching. But
Right.
in the future, we're going to be spending more time around strangers, especially as we start relaxing some of the restrictions. So like when public transport becomes really busy again, the app is going to record strangers that you're near who human contact tracers have no way of contacting them because you didn't know who they were. Or if you go to a restaurant or a cafe without booking a table and you're just sitting next to random people at the nearby table, then the app will record that, but nobody else will be able to do that. So if you're spending time near strangers, which we haven't been doing a lot of recently, but we will soon, the app's going to become very, very useful.
Right. But in order for it to be useful, we need to have more people take it up, right?
Definitely, the more people that use it, the better, because if you don't have the app, then there's no way that somebody near you who's got the app will be able to get your details and send it off to the health department. So we absolutely need as many people as possible to download it.
But a lot of people are too untrusting or blasé, it would appear, to download the app.
Yeah, even in the last few months, I've seen a lot of misinformation about it. When I speak to people about the app, they say, well, the app's recording where I'm going and it knows where I am at all times. And that's not true. It doesn't record that. It was designed to take care of that privacy concern. So it only records who you're near. And even then, it doesn't give you the details of who you're near. It only records them secretly in the app, and that gets uploaded to your state health department when you test positive. So if you test positive, the data is uploaded to your state health department, and they're the only people who have access to the app, so the contact tracers can then contact anybody else. Nobody else gets access to data. The federal government doesn't. You don't. The people that are on that list, they don't get your details. You don't get theirs. So it's pretty safe, and the government's kind of bent over backwards to try and make sure that some of those privacy concerns are taken care of. It would actually be more effective if it was a bit more intrusive.
Oh,
So
really?
if it knew where you were. Yeah, absolutely. Because if it knew where you were, so say you do have the virus, you go to a cafe, you shed some of the virus and you leave it on a surface that doesn't get cleaned properly, an hour later somebody else comes along and they use the same table, they might catch the virus from it. Now, the app won't record that because you weren't next to that person at the same time. But if the app was recording everyone, if it was using your GPS to track location, then it would be able to know who was at that location at any time. But I think Australians, we wouldn't allow our government to be tracking our location that way. Other countries have done that. So their app is more powerful, more intrusive. It catches more people. But there's always that balance between, do we care about privacy and effectiveness?
Futurist Gihan Perera is with me talking about the COVIDsafe app and its apparent failure to date in tracing people with coronavirus. It seems as though the take-up rate isn't the only issue. What about reports that the COVIDsafe app doesn't work very well, particularly on iPhones?
Yeah, that's a pity because, and I think some of those reports are true, because the way the app works is it uses your phone's Bluetooth for connecting with other people nearby who've got the same app on their phones. But because Bluetooth, obviously there's some privacy, so everyone can get access to Bluetooth. It uses battery. So the phone's Bluetooth, whether you've got an Apple iPhone or an Android phone, there are some features built in there for security and battery saving. So the app kind of has to fight against that. So it's true that, unfortunately, even if you have the app and even if it works sometimes, it might not work all the time. It might not be active all the time when you're out and about. So it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. We just need enough people using it. If it finds a few people that the contact tracers, the human contact tracers don't find, that's worth it.
So I imagine you would urge Australians, particularly in places like SA where we don't seem to have any cases, to download the app.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, it's a bit of a paradox, Jennie, because people are saying we need to have it in Victoria and New South Wales because that's where all the cases are. And it's true. It's absolutely, I think everyone should get it because it is useful in those cases, but especially in SA because we don't have many cases around. But we're the sort of people who are going to be mingling with strangers and hanging around with strangers for more than 15 minutes and closer than 1.5 meters. So for those places where we don't have much coronavirus, that's where the app's going to be most useful.
I really appreciate your time and thoughts today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jennie.